My stepdad threw my mother's ashes in the garbage on the day of her funeral. He said she was finally out of the way and that the house was his now. I was 17, grieving, and he thought I was powerless. But what he didn't know was that my mother had left me something: a letter, a key, and a plan. 6 months later, I made sure he lost everything. Not with violence, not with anger, but with patience, the truth, and my mother's final act of love. If you're watching this from your living room, your car, or hiding in your bedroom because life feels unbearable right now, this story is for you. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We read every single one, and your story might be next. Now, let me take you back to the worst day of my life, the day everything changed. My name is Brennan Cole, and I was 17 years old when my mother died. Lung cancer. She fought for 2 years, but the disease won. The funeral was small, just me, a handful of her coworkers, and him, Dale Harmon. My stepdad. He didn't cry, he didn't even pretend to be sad. He stood at the back of the chapel with his arms crossed, checking his phone while the pastor talked about my mom's kindness and strength. I remember wanting to scream at him, to throw him out, but I couldn't. I was numb. My mom was the only family I had. My real dad left before I was born, and she never remarried until Dale came along 5 years ago. I hated him from the start. He was loud, controlling, and mean. He'd call my mom lazy when she was too tired from chemo to cook dinner. He'd yell at me for leaving dishes in the sink or forgetting to take out the trash. But my mom loved him, or at least she said she did. I think she was just lonely and scared of dying alone. After the service, we drove back to the house in silence. I carried my mother's urn carefully, like it was made of glass. Dale walked ahead of me, unlocked the door, and went straight to the fridge for a beer. I placed the urn on the mantel above the fireplace, the spot my mom always said she wanted her ashes to rest. I stepped back and whispered, "I love you, Mom." That's when Dale walked up behind me, grabbed the urn, and said the words that changed everything. "She's gone, kid. Time to move on." Before I could react, Dale unscrewed the lid of the urn and walked toward the kitchen. My heart stopped. I followed him, my legs shaking, my voice caught in my throat. "What are you doing?" I finally managed to say. He didn't answer. He lifted the lid of the trash can, turned the urn upside down, and dumped my mother's ashes on top of banana peels and coffee grounds. The gray dust settled into the garbage like it meant nothing, like she meant nothing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Dale tossed the empty urn onto the counter and looked at me with cold, dead eyes. "She's finally out of the way. This house is mine now. The insurance money is mine. And if you don't like it, you can get the hell out." I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. But I just stood there, frozen, staring at the trash can where my mother's remains were buried under garbage. Dale cracked open another beer and walked to the living room, turning on the TV like nothing had happened. I waited until he wasn't looking, then carefully pulled the trash bag out of the can. I tied it gently, took it to my room, and locked the door. I sat on my bed, holding the bag in my lap, and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. That's when I saw it. Tucked under my pillow was an envelope with my name on it, written in my mother's handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter, folded neatly, and a small silver key taped to the bottom of the page. The letter read, "My dearest Brennan, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry I couldn't stay longer. I'm sorry I brought Dale into our lives. I thought he would take care of you, but I know now that I was wrong. I've seen the way he treats you. I've heard the things he says when he thinks I'm asleep. I was too weak to fight him while I was alive, but I won't let him hurt you anymore. This key opens a safe deposit box at First National Bank on Oakwood Avenue, box number 447. Inside you'll find documents, everything you need to take back what's yours. The house is in your name, Brennan. I transferred the deed 3 months ago while Dale was at work. He doesn't know. The life insurance policy is split. Half goes to him, but half goes into a trust for you that he can't touch. I also left you something else. Evidence. Dale has been stealing from me for years, forging checks, taking money from my accounts. It's all documented in that box. I didn't have the strength to confront him, but you do. You're stronger than you know. Use this information wisely. Protect yourself, And please, forgive me for not being braver. I love you more than anything in this world, Mom. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. My mother had protected me even in death. The woman who seemed powerless had given me a weapon, and I was going to use it. The next morning, Dale told me I had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. "This is my house now," he said, waving a piece of paper in my face. "Your mom left it to me in the will. You're almost 18. Time to figure out your own life." I didn't argue. I just nodded and went to school. But after my last class, I didn't go home. I took the bus to First National Bank on Oakwood Avenue. I showed them my ID, the key, and my mother's death certificate. The bank manager led me to a small private room and brought out the safe deposit box. Inside was a thick manila folder. I opened it and found everything my mother had promised. The deed to the house, transferred into my name, notarized, and legally filed. A copy of the life insurance policy showing that half the payout was in a trust for me, inaccessible to Dale. And then, the evidence. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals from my mother's account, totaling over $40,000. Copies of forged checks with Dale's signature next to my mother's, poorly traced. A printed email thread between Dale and a woman named Vanessa, where he talked about finally cashing out when the sick butch dies. My stomach turned. He'd been planning this for months, maybe years. My mother had known, and she'd quietly gathered proof while pretending everything was fine. I made copies of everything at a print shop, put the originals back in the box, and went home. Dale was on the couch, beer in hand, watching TV. He didn't even look at me when I walked in. I went to my room, locked the door, and started planning. I wasn't going to confront him. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to let the law do it for me, but first, I needed him to think he'd won. For the next 2 weeks, I played the role of the defeated, grieving kid. I kept my head down, did my chores, and avoided Dale as much as possible. He loved it. He'd make comments like, "Good to see you're finally learning your place," or "Maybe losing your mom will toughen you up." I never responded. I just nodded and walked away. During this time, I contacted a lawyer using money from the trust my mother left me. Her name was Miss Garrett, a sharp woman in her 50s who specialized in estate disputes and fraud cases. I showed her the documents. She smiled, not a happy smile, but the smile of someone who'd seen this before and knew exactly how to handle it. "Your mother was very smart, Ms. Saab," Garrett said. "Dale has no legal claim to this house. The deed transfer was filed months ago, and it's ironclad. As for the theft, we have more than enough evidence to press charges. The forged checks alone are felonies. We can file a police report and a civil suit simultaneously." I asked her how long it would take. She said, "If we move quickly, we can have him arrested within the week. But if you want to make this hurt, we wait until he feels safe. Let him think he's gotten away with it. Then we hit him with everything at once." I chose the second option. I wanted Dale to feel what my mother felt, powerless, trapped, and betrayed. 2 weeks later, Dale threw a party. He invited his buddies over, told them he'd come into some money, and celebrated like he'd won the lottery. I stayed in my room listening to them laugh and drink. I texted Miss Garrett, "It's time." 3 days after the party, Dale was served. It was a Saturday morning. He was in the kitchen making breakfast, whistling to himself, when there was a loud knock at the door. He opened it to find 2 police officers standing on the porch. "Dale Harmon?" one of them asked. "Yeah, that's me." "What's this about?" "You're under arrest for forgery, grand theft, and fraud. You have the right to remain silent." I watched from the hallway as they cuffed him. His face went from confused to pale to furious. He saw me standing there and screamed, "What did you do? You little bastard, what did you do?" I didn't say anything. I just watched as they led him out of the house and into the patrol car. After they left, Miss Garrett arrived with a locksmith. We changed every lock on every door. Then she handed me a stack of papers. "This is the restraining order. If he tries to contact you or come near this property, he goes back to jail. This," she held up another document, "is the eviction notice. Even if he makes bail, he can't come back here. The house is legally yours." I asked what would happen to him. She said, "The district attorney is pursuing criminal charges for the forged checks and theft." That's 3 to 5 years in prison if convicted. Separately, I filed a civil suit on your behalf to recover the $40,000 he stole, plus damages. His wages will be garnished, his assets frozen. He'll be paying this back for the rest of his life. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness. It was over, but it didn't feel like victory. It just felt like survival. That night, I finally scattered my mother's ashes in the backyard, under the oak tree where we used to sit together. I said goodbye the right way this time, and I made her a promise. I would never let anyone take what was mine again. Dale's trial happened 4 months later. He'd hired a cheap lawyer who tried to argue that my mother had given him permission to access her accounts and that the checks were signed jointly, but the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecutor presented the forged signatures, the email thread with Vanessa, and testimony from the bank that confirmed the unauthorized withdrawals. Dale took the stand and tried to play the victim. He claimed he'd loved my mother, that he was just trying to take care of things while she was sick, and that I was an ungrateful kid, trying to steal his inheritance. The jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in state prison and ordered him to pay full restitution, $40,000 plus interest. As they led him away in handcuffs, Dale turned and looked at me one last time. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked broken, empty, defeated. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel revenge. I just felt tired. Outside the courthouse, Ms. Garrett shook my hand. "Your mother would be proud," she said. I nodded. I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that somewhere she was watching, and that she finally felt at peace, knowing I was safe. I drove home that day in the car my mother left me, a beat-up Honda with a faded bumper sticker that said, "Keep going." I smiled for the first time in months. I was going to keep going. For her. For me. For the life she wanted me to have. Life didn't magically get easier after Dale went to prison, but it got quieter. I finished high school, got a part-time job at a hardware store, and started taking classes at the community college. The house was mine, fully paid off, and I rented out the spare bedroom to a nursing student named Marcus who needed a cheap place to stay. He was quiet, respectful, and always paid rent on time. It helped with bills and made the house feel less empty. I thought about my mom every day. I'd see her in small things, the way the morning light came through the kitchen window, the smell of coffee brewing, the oak tree in the backyard. I missed her so much it physically hurt sometimes. But I also felt her presence, like she was still guiding me. About a year after the trial, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Dale. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. The letter was short, written in shaky handwriting. It said, "Brennan, I know you'll probably throw this away, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry, I was a bad person. I treated your mother horribly, and I treated you worse. I deserve everything that happened to me. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I think about what I did every day, and I'm ashamed. Your mom was a good woman. You're a good kid. I hope you have a good life." I read it twice, folded it up, and put it in a drawer. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. Forgiveness wasn't something I owed him, but I didn't hate him anymore either. I just let it go. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. I'm 23 now, still living in my mom's house, still moving forward one day at a time. People ask me sometimes if I regret what I did to Dale, if I think I went too far. My answer is always the same. I didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. I just refused to let him destroy me too. Here's what I learned from all of this. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's not about making someone suffer the way they made you suffer. Real revenge is refusing to be broken. It's standing up when someone expects you to stay down. It's using the tools you have, the truth, the law, your own resilience, to take back your power. My mother couldn't fight Dale when she was alive, but she gave me everything I needed to fight him after she was gone. She taught me that love isn't just protecting someone in the moment, it's protecting them for the future. It's thinking ahead, planning, and making sure they have what they need even when you're not there anymore. If you're in a bad situation right now, if someone is hurting you, controlling you, or making you feel worthless, please know this: you are not powerless. You might feel small right now, but you're not. Document everything. Keep records. Reach out for help. There are people who will believe you and fight for you. And most importantly, survive. Just survive. Because one day, you'll be strong enough to fight back. And when that day comes, you'll be ready. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We share real stories of people who refused to be victims, people who stood up, fought back, and reclaimed their lives. Drop a comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? Have you ever had to stand up to someone who thought you were powerless? Share your story. You never know who needs to hear it. And remember, karma isn't always instant. Sometimes it takes patience. Sometimes it takes strategy. But it always finds a way. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, keep fighting, and never let anyone make you feel small. We'll see you in the next story.